Okay, so this is part 2, talking about what makes a bad deck, and showing my objectively worst deck as an example. Karador Ghost Chieftain. 5 black, green, white for a 3/4 Suture Spirit. He's actually Karador Kami Chieftain now. Ren, my artist friend, put him in lacquered armor and gave him an O Naginata. I think that's what that's called. He knows better than I do. He's into Japanese culture. I stopped watching anime about 3 or 4 years ago. I just started watching different things. But anyway, so it costs 1 less cast for each creature card in my graveyard. During each of my turns, I can cast 1 creature from the graveyard. Karador, when I had him as the oppressive Hermit Druid build, it was rough. It was brutal. It was effective. It was consistent. And so when I broke it up because it was too brutal and consistent and it wasn't fun for me to play anymore in the group that I'm in, I turned it to this tribal spirit deck. So it's all tribal spirits with the excision of mirror entity that I explained in part 1 of this. All of the creatures now have the hard type spirit. There are no changelings. There are no cheats. All spirits. And if somehow I find one I'm going through, I'll take it out on camera. So all of you know I'm not lying. Anyway, what's funny is Muldrotha, actually, the current build of Muldrotha I have is very similar to the Hermit Druid toolbox version of Karador, but it doesn't feel as oppressive when I play it. I'm not sure if that's because I play it slightly differently, or if the lads I play with have gotten that much better over the years that they're able to keep up with it. But in any case, Karador is objectively my worst deck, my slowest deck, and I need that. The reason I need that is some of the lads I play with. Let me start going through some cards while I'm talking. So some of the lads I play with, well, I've got the luxury of having known them for years. I know what they have. I know most of their decks. For example, I know the Genie is going to play either Amanatu Blink, Windgrace Lands, Directi Artifacts, or Omnath Smash, Cast Storm. Those are his main decks. Tommy's going to play either his version of Muldrotha, but Tommy, because of his work, he doesn't get a lot of time to really think about the decks, think about the cards, so he built Muldrotha as a mill deck without realizing a lot of people just have this visceral reaction to mill, and it pisses them off, so they come after him. And he didn't have enough ways to protect his graveyard from Bojuka Bog effects. So he got smashed. And I helped him out. I said, well, my version, I don't do mill. I dredge, so I don't piss people off by milling them. And I've got 6 cards whose sole purpose is to stop triggered abilities that would wreck my graveyard. Disallow, stifle, Siren Stormbringer, Stormcaller, whatever the hell it is, and the like. So he got a few of those, and he's had better luck, better success. The other deck he's got is Turgid Discard, which again gets him targeted because people can read Turgid, and the first time he pops off any kind of everybody discard a card, they're like, all right, Tommy's up to his old tricks. Let's get him. So if those two receive too much hate, he falls back on his old. Let me stop there for a minute. This card in this deck is awesome. Is just fantastic. The Bee's Knees. So 3 for his legendary Spirit Warlock, flying lifelink protection from vampires. Okay, that's kind of random, but fair enough. Power and toughness each equal to the number of permanents I control that are spirits and or enchantments. the way this deck is, she becomes a 10-10 pretty quickly and only builds it from there. I don't care about the Disturb because I'm not going to do it. I'm playing Karador, so if she dies, she's coming back as Katilda. She's not coming back at whatever hell this is, this Disturb. I know it's some enchantment, but it's irrelevant to me. Anyway, so Tommy also has I think it's the Necron Warhammer deck. It's the one that has all the artifacts, all the sacrifice. Oh, this is great with Horobi. So, 2/1/1. Again, it's not Japanese. I'm really thinking now that having taken out so many of the Kamigawa cards because they were overcosted and inefficient and putting in things like this, I think that's why the deck doesn't feel right to me. Like it feels that it's missing something because it's not Kamigawa anymore. It's a mishmash from the multiverse. But either I can play Kamigawa and it is a bad deck, and I'm barely able to stand up to unmodified precons, or I have to make allowances. So anyway, Suture Spirit, 1 and a white for a 1/1 spirit flying. Regenerate target creature. If Horobi is out, I can ping something, give it a regeneration shield, it might or not, and it dies. Because Horobi says whenever a creature is targeted, it just dies. It doesn't matter what the target was going to do. You target it, it dies. Basically, it turns everything into a... what the hell is that shapeshifter? That phantasmal image. If Horobi is out, every creature is now a phantasmal image, effectively. So anyway, Tommy has that Warhammer deck, and I don't think he's modified it. So this is another great card in this deck. Whenever I play a Spirit Arcane spell, I can put a land from my hand and play tapped. So if I've got the Thawing Glaciers and I played something else because I want the mana, I can play a Spirit, and then as a side effect, if I have a land in my hand, I can get it on the battlefield. So anyway, Tommy has a Necron deck. I think he has another Warhammer deck. A lot of the lads, when Warhammer came out, they got into it. I didn't like it, but about half the lads I play with regularly, they got well into it. They bought multiple copies of Warhammer, not like 2 Necron decks, but they bought 1 copy of 3. 2 to 3 typically. One guy bought all 4. And he really likes it. And the decks, they're not weak. They can be strong. So what I need, here's Call Me the False Hope. So what was it called again? Ethereal Haze. I took out Ethereal Haze, and I've hardly ever cast it anyway. Normally I get Call Me the False Hope out, and I'm relying on him the same way a Marin or a Muldrotha player leans on Spore Frog. He is Spore Frog in this deck. And I'm glad they printed him because I like the effect, but Spore Frog is not a spirit, so he can't be in here. He's banned. So anyway, Cube, his decks are, he's got the Eldrazi Purcon that he's tuned until it's a screaming hot rod machine. It works, and when he plays it, I go after him, and I start telling the other guys, do you remember the last game? If they played against it before, we need to go after him. And so we all do. And sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes, even with all of us going after him, he's able to wreck us with that Eldrazi deck. It is bad. Well, not bad as in terrible. Bad as in Jesus Christ. It's brutal. And it's a modified precon with in-print cards. No reserve list, nothing. And then he also has his poison deck. I just don't like being poisoned, so I go after him when he plays that because I don't want to be poisoned. A lot of times he's able to get around. He's a good player. He's very careful. Builds his decks well. But the point is, so I know the lads I play with pretty well. I know their decks. I know the strategies that they're going to employ when they declare a certain commander if I've seen it before. And they know mine. Not to the same extent, because I have 15 commander decks, which is a lot more to keep track of, and I don't bring them out that often. So I need something that, if everybody wants to play an unmodified precon, I need something that isn't going to just wreck them. I can't play Animar. I can't play Edgar. I can't play Phoenix. And God knows I cannot play Sharum, the Hegemon, against them, because I will just wreck them. So I need decks of varying power level. This deck, I'm not sure how much of it you've picked up on, you who are watching, and realized that it's not fast, but it's resilient, and it has a lot of mid-game, late-game punch. So I need something that can play against precons without stomping them, yet the precons have become so good lately that I can't just play absolute rubbish either. This can't go back to just Kamigawa. I'll get wrecked. I wouldn't be able to keep up. So those are my thoughts on bad decks. Sometimes what somebody looks at as a bad deck is, let me put it another way. So somebody looking at a bad deck without understanding the environment it's played in is doing the person that they're insulting a disservice by calling it a bad deck. Now, if you're in an environment, say you're in a waterfront town, where people move in and out all the time, and you don't have a regular play group, you never know what you're going to expect. You don't know if it's going to be pre-con night, or if it's going to be damn near competitive EDH beatdown. So in that case, it behooves you to have decks, I'd say 3 decks, of varying power levels. Something close to a precon, something close to the most brutal thing you could possibly build, fastest thing you could possibly build, and then something in the middle. But me, because I have the luxury of playing with the same lads over and over again, and we know each other, I know which of my decks can go against which of their decks without making any bad feelings any of the way around. So here's an opening hand. Okay, I don't need Call of Souls. Don't really need Seedborn Muse. I don't really need Primordial Sage, but I kind of want to keep it, but usually I get bit when I don't get enough lands. So I'll keep these. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I still only have 2 lands and none of it's green. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. If you're going to say somebody has a bad deck, first you need to understand the environment they're playing in and their goals. I read Reddit a lot just for fun, and I get these people saying, if you're not making your deck the most efficient possible, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you're playing with pet cards you think are just fun, you're not being a good player. And that's not true. Sometimes it behooves you to power down. If you're going to spar, if you're 30 years old, good shape, weightlifter, and you're trying to teach a teenager how to fight, and you're sparring with them, you're not going to go full force as if you're in the octagon, are you? Hell no. So that assessment is important. Let's see what I get in the first card. Thief of Hope. Okay, so like I said, the deck can be slow. It's pretty, it's shiny. Let's play planes and see what happens. So my opponents take their turns, I draw, and I get I get Suture Spirit out. Really? I've got a creature, that's not too bad. My opponents take their turns, I untap, I draw, I get another planes. Okay. So in a typical game, I'm actually not doing too bad because I've got a blocker and I've got a way to regenerate him. Some games, everybody is kind of having a rough start. But I can also get Thief of Hope out, so let's do that. So Thief of Hope comes out whenever I play a Spirit or Arcane spell. Target opponent loses 1 life and I gain 1 life. My opponents take their turns. I untap. I draw. Now, I admit I've been rambling a bit, but I'm kind of sick. I just wanted to record this video and get these thoughts out there and see what people's opinions are. Now, now this is interesting because with Cabal Coffers, I can get 4 black. And I can cast Horobi. But I can't activate Suture Spirit. And that leaves me with my pants down if they've got anything that targets. So I'm just going to say tap that for black. Sorry, let me back this up. Cabal Coffers is a swamp because Urborg. Tap for black. I'll throw down Tortured Existence. So I can discard creature cards to get stuff back into my graveyard if I need them more. Untap. Draw. Still no green. But I got Vault of the Archangel. And it's a swamp. So I've got 5 black mana. I've got no green. I'm not doing too great. But since I can regenerate my creatures, I'm not doing too bad. Okay, so probably I would get attacked because I look weak. I can block, I can regenerate one of my creatures, and then I start my turn. Kuvit the Avamaya. Okay, now the deck is just screwing with me. The deck is just being an asshole. Doesn't give me any green. But I have 6 black. I can cast Horobi, and I can target something with Suture Spirit to regenerate it. Yeah. That's great. My opponents take their turns. I draw. Clarion Spirit. Okay, that's not green, but it's a creature. Whenever I cast my second spell each turn, I get another creature, which is nice. I can start building up the army. And my camera's going to cut off. So anyway, let me know what you think. I've been rambling. I'm kind of sick. My thoughts are not really clear. I'll try to make a